We pay respect first. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. So this, for those of you who are actually new to Dhamma talk, this is the way we always start with Dhamma talk, because we are studying the teachings of the Buddha, and so we are grateful that we are able to still, study his teachings after he has been gone for 2,600 years. So we always start with paying respect to our greatest teacher. So, welcome. Some of you, haven't seen some of you before. Welcome here and to the new meditation center. Now we call meditation vihara. Vihara, that means like a residence or community, meditation residence or meditation community. So tonight we are holding the Dhamma talk in the chanting hall, which I find so much nicer, without the echoing and the big wide space. It's a little bit more cozy. Sorry for those who are used to have tea in the break. I still haven't thought about offering tea yet to you, so make sure next time you bring your own tea, and then you can have your tea with your buddies and chit-chat outside. Okay, so as some of you know that we have been actually studying or exploring the Dhammapada, this book, there's many versions of this book. It could be like a little pocket handheld, pocket books, or it could be even bigger. I have a Dhammapada which is that thick and that big. So there is a lot of versions, and the version that I'm using for the translation is done by Bhikkhu Buddharakkhita. So you can download that free online. So tonight is the 9th sessions of exploring the Dhammapada. But before we start exploring the next topic, a new topic, let us go back to what we have done last month, about following the Dhamma. And so reflections on this, the Dhamma. We talk about there are 3 very important teachings of the Buddha is anicca, dukkha, anatta. That means impermanence, sufferings, and non-self. We talked about that last time. So just a little bit of reflection. So we talk about impermanence quite a bit. And so questions for reflections are, first is, have you experienced impermanence in your life? Of course, everybody does. It's just such a silly question to ask. But you may have some silly answers, who knows, right? So, and then the second one is, how did it affect you? Of course it affects you, but how did it affect you? Or how does it affect you? And what about that experience? But did that experience teach you anything about life, or about this life, about your life, about people's life, or about your relationship, anything? So did that experience teach you anything about life? So the floor is yours, open floor. Anybody like to share? Is somebody? Nora? Sorry, Nora, I can't see you. Okay, I see you now.
Hi. When my parents died, that was sort of expected. They were old older, and but when Russ died and he had just turned 60 and he died in 4 months, that was like a lesson in impermanence, because
Yeah.
it was a shock.
Yeah.
He had been so healthy, and how it affected me is like I just got rid of a whole bunch of things. You had given us a teaching on death and dying, and you had said how beneficial it was to get rid of their possessions and give them away for them to get merits.
Yes.
And I found myself just getting rid of tons of things. I mean, like for example, I had like been given a bunch of sets of dishes from his mother-in-law. It's like, what do I need all these sets of dishes? And just, just realizing that you've been going along kind of in a dream that you're going to live forever.
Yes.
And then, and so what it taught me as well was I found myself being able to be more empathetic to other people who had loss, because I hadn't really experienced it so much in my life.
Yes.
And also to be very grateful for what I had.
Good. Great. Wow. Wonderful. Yeah.
Life with Russ, right?
Yes. 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 Did you give away Ross? No, he didn't play banjo. What did he play? Tender.
Oh yeah. Well, he had all his guitars, and
Yeah.
he before he died, like he told everybody he was dying, well, not dying, but that he had cancer, and he had time to tell, to give things to people.
I still remember when I visited him at the hospital. He said, "I'll play the what's the instrument that was? What kind of a ukulele?" Yes, yes. And he played that, and he said, "I will play you again next lifetime. I will play more to you next lifetime." I said, "Yes, that's the promise. That's the deal." I still remember it.
I didn't realize somebody else told me that he had said to him, "Well, I'm ready for the next great adventure."
Yeah.
What a positive.
Yeah. It was I mean, it wasn't a pleasure to see him like that, but yet it was a pleasure to see him like that too. You know what I mean, Nora? Yeah. So it was like he was really positive, and it was great to see somebody going through the last phase of life, very last phase of life, with such positivity. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know whether this had any effect, but he had suffered from alcoholism.
Yes.
He was sober for
Yeah.
28 years.
Yeah.
Before he died, and I think because a lot of alcoholics will say that they had suicidal thoughts, and they were depressed, and their life was out of control.
Not Ross.
That taught him to be grateful every day that he
Yeah.
got
Yeah. 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 Sometimes I think about him too. Great. Thank you, Nora. That was wonderful. Yeah. Anybody here? Anybody here? No? Yes, Ali. Good. You have a mic. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Sifu. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we all experience anicca
Yes.
in daily life, in
Of
many
course.
things, when we are walking
Yeah.
and when we are breathing.
Yeah.
And personally, I don't really want to say anything in particular.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just very thankful because more and more through meditation, I don't fight with the impermanence anymore.
Good. You accept.
Yeah, I'm accepting more and more. Like
Great.
I know I'm just a baby. Like I'm starting,
Yes.
and I pretend to do it to like in this life, in the next one, or
Yeah.
what,
Right.
like.
Yeah.
But more and more, I am understanding
Yeah.
that anicca is actually a gift for
Yes.
us as humans, because it's so precious. Sometimes when I'm walking, that's what I want to share. When I'm walking, it's just taking me few seconds
Yeah.
or minutes, just briefly, to realize about the magnitude of what I'm doing
Yeah.
or where I am, and
Yeah.
I don't have any idea of how it was created,
Yeah.
like floor, space,
Yeah.
and it's I can be equanimous at the same time, but that's also anicca, because at the next step I get
You never
distracted
know,
by
right?
everything.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's what I want to share.
Great. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ali.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. Yes. Anicca, impermanence, is actually give us hope. It gives us a lot of hope, because unpleasant could change to become pleasant. And then we will, oh, wow, the unpleasant is gone, so nice, so hopeful. Don't get too excited yet. Because the pleasant can become unpleasant. It's, unpleasantness, I don't like it. And then you think about, oh, anicca, no, this will also pass. So that's hopeful. Give us a lot of hope. And give us a hope is that, okay, I haven't done good enough. I still have time. I still have time. I don't know how much time, but yet I still have this breath right now. I still have this moment right now, and I can fully utilize this moment. This moment is so important, right? So it's actually, anicca is a wonderful concept if you embrace it, and it becomes your way to live life, the way you live your life, to see it every day, and you just treasure life so much more. Good. Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, there you go. Irene Wu. Hello.
So we do experience impermanence every day, every moment. Because like impermanence means things keep changing, evolving.
Yes.
So how did that affect me? And I believe it's just like I didn't put it together, with the other. Did that experience teach you anything about life? So yes, you understand more, and then you just how you see and accept the situation. And that experience teach me that, my personal experience is I feel that my gratitude is very stronger.
Good.
And accepting the situation doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It easily and
Yes.
moving forward.
Yes.
And I'm seeing, because you understand impermanence, that means there's no bad and good.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just, it's just the conditions.
It's just a
That's
condition.
what
Yeah.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Great.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else here? Laurie, grab a mic. Oh, I know you don't like a mic, but you do need to speak with a mic.
Okay. Thank you, Clark. Thank you. Sifu, I was just going to add to what everyone has said, that sometimes I have in the past thought that relationships would always stay the same.
Yeah.
And then when they change, I find myself, or I used to find myself, very surprised.
Or in shock.
And shocked that, this friendship was going to last forever. This relationship was always going to be the same, and the nature of the things shift and change, and then it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah, it is not easy.
But it's a very good lesson to learn.
Yeah.
Because what it's shown me is I have to live in this moment.
Yes.
Like everyone else has been saying.
Yes.
And appreciate what you have right now.
Yes.
the past is gone and the future isn't here yet, and it might, you just don't know. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you. Yeah. Before I came for the meditation, I just counseled a family and a person in coma, and I had almost like 25 minutes with them. The patient actually knew that I was talking to him, and the family, of course, is devastated because it's so sudden. In the beginning, when I started to counsel the wife, talking to the husband, and of course she was, very emotional. And I said, "It's okay. You get emotional. It's okay. Don't worry. Just do what I tell you to do." So gradually, leading her through a very, very simple, very short life review within 20 minutes. And she started off with really emotional, very crying a lot and blah, 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 blah. And then at the end, she said to him, that, "You have been such a good husband. And you're so humorous, and you're so gentle, and you're so quiet, and you're so kind. Oh, it's so nourishing to hear these words. And even when impermanence strikes, if you could at that moment remember what you have achieved in life. Achievement doesn't mean like big thing. You're big shot and famous and wealthy and good looking, beautiful, or even a beauty queen. It's nothing like that. No, it's just whether you have utilized your life fully, according to your own standard. If you regret that, oh, I haven't used my life fully, then at that moment you realize that you haven't utilized your life fully. Then don't live in that regret, because when you start to actually reflect upon it, and you say, oh, that means hopefully if there is opportunity, maybe this life or next life, because you have regretted that you haven't used your life fully, hopefully that plants a seed for the future that you will be able to use your future life more. Okay? So it's not easy when impermanence strikes, because we're so used to we think permanency, right? Oh, it won't change, I won't die, or she won't go away, I'll stay rich, I'll stay pretty, I'll stay young and no wrinkles and all that. Sorry, it doesn't happen. Right? So I think impermanence is actually a very good messenger. Telling us that every moment is precious, and make full use of each moment as soon as possible, as full as possible, as much as possible. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Sifu. I'm just thinking about the flip side of people around us changing actually for the positive. So say their habit pattern of something that they used to do all the time, over time it changes and they actually flip it around to something that's actually helpful. And I think recognizing that kind of impermanence is also important, because then it reinforces those positive changes. But I think it's harder to catch. For me anyway, it's harder to catch the the positive strikes of impermanence.
Yeah, than the negative one. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true. Very good, wonderful sharing. Okay, then let's start exploring the Dhammapada. So, okay, we have touched on follow the Dhamma, the supreme truth. So we talk about that. So today we talk about practice the Dhamma, and then there are a few more topics about exploring the Dhammapada. Sorry, it's right efforts down there. Okay, but no, the next one will be the mind, and then right efforts, and then benefits, because it's sort of like a sequence. So we practice the Dhamma. When we practice the Dhamma, then we are able to actually correct our mind, which is the director behind all our physical, speech, and verbal and mental actions. And how then, after understanding about the mind from the Dhammapada, what kind of efforts are we going to put in order not to veer off from this supreme path? And then the last topic to wrap up the whole exploration of the Dhammapada is the benefits of practicing the Dhamma in this lifetime and in the future lifetimes. So last time we talked about how can we be released from sufferings is by understanding the supreme truth. So we talk about impermanence, we talk about non-self, that means conditioned arising, and we talk about sufferings. So we always say, the truth, it seems that proof is easy. Sometimes it's not quite easy. But having the faith is actually very important. And also is actually very difficult work to continuously grow in faith. So in order for one to practice the Dhamma, that means the path of liberation or from sufferings, and we need to start off with really a faith or confidence. Faith in our teacher, the Buddha, and faith in the teachings that he has left us, and faith in ourselves who are going to be the practitioner. And of course, faith in the Sangha, the monastics, and those people who practice, and they exemplify the teachings. So having that little faith to start off, and having this faith to keep on being strengthened throughout the practice is actually very, very important. But it's not easy, because a lot of times we are challenged. We are challenged by people, we are challenged by situation, and that could, lead to loss of faith. So remember, faith doesn't come from outside. Faith comes from yourself, inside. Okay? So tonight we're going to start understanding or exploring about the Dhammapada in which theme? In practice the Dhamma. So how are we going to practice the Dhamma? So we have actually studied in the Dhammapada before. I think the first session which I talked about was human life is precious, right? Was that right? Yeah. So human life is precious. So encountering the teachings of the Buddha is even more precious, because it is the only teaching in the world that teaches us the real ultimate truth pertaining to our own existence. It is the only teachings. And of course, some people or some other practices take bits and pieces of the Buddha's teaching here and there and put into their own teachings. But the Buddha's teaching is the really complete and ultimate teaching that actually teaches this. And so it teaches us the ultimate truth about our own existence, about existence of everything, anime, inanimate, and even the space. So, but the more precious is what we can learn and understand after we study the Dhamma, is if we are able to practice the Dhamma, that's even more precious, right? I mean, if you are able to sit down and meditate, isn't that precious? Yeah, it's such a privilege to be able to meditate and quiet down the mind and understand our own mind, so that we could actually choose the proper way to go forward, right? Otherwise, if we don't understand it, if we don't allow it to settle, we just follow whatever this crazy mind, this untrained mind, this wild mind tells us to go. Hey, you go there? Okay, I'll go there. You go there? Okay, I'll go there. But but once you start to meditate and quiet down, no, that's not right. No, that's not right. I need to go here. You've got a direction. You've got a destiny. And that destiny, that destination is very different than any other destinations. Okay? So, and because of the possibility of the availability of the teachings, and the possibility that we can use the teachings, especially the meditation teachings, that we are able to see our own views, whether they are the correct views, biased views, or they are the wrong views, then we are able to start to understand, oh wow, I have this view. Where did I get that view from? How is this view going to lead me, going forward? Then by that understanding, by that exploration, we will be able to release ourselves from wrong views, wrong behaviors, unwholesome deeds, and of course the end result is release ourselves from unwholesome consequences that come from the unwholesome deeds, unwholesome causes, right? So when we study the Dhammapada in the beginning, we said human life is rare and precious, and we look at quite a few verses. And one of the verses here is realizing that this body is as fragile as a clay pot, and fortifying this mind like a well-fortified city. Fight out Mara with the sword of wisdom. Thus, guarding the conquest, remain unattached. See, that's why having a human body, having a human life is so precious, because we are the only beings on earth who can understand and practice. Goldie can't. Your cat cannot. Your rabbit cannot. Only we can, because we have the mental capacity to understand the teachings. We have the mental capacity to practice the teachings. That's why we are privileged. Okay? So the Buddha taught the way out of sufferings. And in Dhammapada it says in here, 183, if you have got your book, 183, the verse 183, it says to avoid all evil, to cultivate all good, and to cleanse one's own mind. And this is the teaching of the Buddhas, not of the Buddha, of all the Buddhas in the past and also in the future. All the Buddha teach the same. So it won't happen is, one Buddha come and one Buddha teaches this, and the other Buddha come and the other Buddha teaches that. No. All Buddhas teach the same. Teach what? To avoid all evil, to cultivate all good, and to cleanse one's own mind. So, how can we go about this? So the Buddha said you can go through the tiers of 3 steps of practice, 3 tiers of practice. The first step is sila, we call morality. Okay? Moral standard, morality. So, and then the second one is samadhi. Those are the Pali terms, the very ancient Indian language. So samadhi, that means concentration. Not concentration, whatever, but it's a concentration of the mind. Okay? So, and then the last one is called panya. Panya means wisdom. Wisdom doesn't mean intelligence. You cannot get wisdom from studying more or listening to YouTube more. But you can get wisdom by studying more and then understanding more, digesting more, and absorbing more, and practicing more, and experiencing more. Through that experience, as I said just now, you understand more. That understanding through your own experience is experiential understanding. Is once in a while you say, oh, just like Nora said just now, oh, this is impermanence. Ross has never been sick. He was very healthy all along, and all of a sudden he got cancer. It's not all of a sudden, right? But just, cancer. So that and then after that she knew, oh, that is impermanence. That just changes. And that is a glimpse of wisdom. You understand a little bit more. And hopefully that will stay in your heart more, longer period of time. It stays there. Okay? And especially when you start to doubt, or you start to get, lost in life, and you don't know where to go, what to do, and then you hopefully that seed will help you to bring your to bring your mindfulness back and put you right in that right spot. Okay, so these are the road maps, just like the GPS in our car. Of course, some of the GPS are quite misleading. It takes you the long route and a long time. And I always say I like the paper map. I study before I go out. I go anywhere. I study the paper map. I know where to turn left, where to turn right, and where to go straight. And it's easier. But this GPS takes you round and round. But not the GPS from the Buddha. I tell you, the GPS from the Buddha is straightforward. This is the path. You follow it, but we don't follow it. That's the problem, It's not the GPS misleading us. It's us don't want to follow that GPS. It's so strange, right? It's the other way around. And we rely so much on that car GPS, and we don't rely on our mental GPS. This human being is so strange, so weird, so weird. The GPS of the Buddha is the best GPS. It doesn't need satellites. It doesn't need Wi-Fi. It doesn't need internet. But yet, we always get ourselves detoured from that GPS, from that path. Human beings, human beings. So, we have talked about sila, morality, as we talk about self-discipline, but I just want to recall, to recall you. So means morality, wholesome development, and cultivation. It is needed not because you are a meditator, a practitioner, or so you call yourself a Buddhist. It is needed because self-discipline brings a sense of safety and harmony. Right? If there is no morality in a society, in a community, or in a nation, how would you feel when you leave Po Lam tonight at 8:30? It's all dark, and if you bike home or if you drive home, you may be carjacked, I'm not cursing you, but it may happen. You may be short. Boom. There may be road rage. Who knows? Because there's a lack of morality in that particular society, in that particular community. I remember in the 70s, when I was in Ontario, I never locked the door. My landlady never locked her front door. I never locked my back door because we didn't need to lock it because it was safe then. Now you need to put alarm 1, 2, 3, 4 and disarm and arm, and your car will say beep 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 beep. Somebody is near your car. Beep 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 beep. Why? Because it's not safe. Because it's lacking morality. So morality is actually self-discipline. It's very, very, very crucial in order to have harmony and safety. Safety in ourselves, safety in the society. Because I don't want to be hurt or harmed by others. And so I don't want to hurt or harm others, right? I don't want to be robbed, so I won't rob, right? So same with the rest of all the basic fundamental precepts that the Buddha put out, or in Christianity, the 10 precepts that they have. Do they call precepts? Commandments, yes. So self-discipline is actually very, very badly needed and needed to cultivate in the Buddha's teachings. So, and this falls into the Eightfold Noble Path, and ethical conduct is skillful speech, skillful actions, and skillful livelihood. So you all understand this now. So skillful actions is bodily actions, and that means we don't kill, we don't steal, we don't commit adultery, and skillful verbal actions, and skillful livelihood. So we don't engage in any jobs that would entail killing or hurting or like arteries, drugs, intoxicants and all that. Those are skillful livelihood. So those are we call the correct or the skillful careers. So that's the first tier that actually correlates with morality. So it's in verse 54 it says, not the sweet smell of flowers, not even the fragrance of sandal, Tagara. Tagara is rhododendron, or jasmine blows. In some of these texts, there are some ancient words that you might not know. So a lot of times in the commentary they will tell you. So it's not that I know what is meant by Tagara. It's because it's in the commentary. It said Tagara equals to rhododendron. Against the wind, but the fragrance of the virtuous blows against the wind. Truly the virtuous man pervades all directions with the fragrance of his virtue. So this is a story about a question raised by Ananda. As most of you know who is Ananda. Ananda was the attendant of the Buddha. And Ananda has a very special quality. He has supreme memory. And he remembered all of the Buddha's teachings. And after the Buddha passed away, they recited. Because at that time, everything was passed down in oral tradition. So Ananda remembered all the teachings of the Buddha, and he recited all the teachings. So he passed those teachings down to many, many bhikkhus, monks and nuns. So Ananda, one day he was contemplating, and he was sitting by himself, and he thought, strange, he said, the fragrance of wood, the fragrance of flowers, and the fragrance of all roots spread with the current of the wind. When the wind blows east, it spread to the east, but not against it. So anybody standing at the west cannot pick up that fragrance because the wind is blowing towards the east. And he thought in his mind, is there no fragrance that would spread with the wind and also against the wind? Is there no fragrance that would pervade to every part of the world? He kept thinking about that. He couldn't find an answer, so he went to see the Buddha. And the Buddha said to him, he said, Ananda, supposing there is one person who takes the refuge in the Buddha and in his teachings and in the monastic sangha who exemplify his teachings, and who observes all these moral concepts, at least the 5 basic, very fundamental precepts, and who is generous and who are not greedy, such a man is truly virtuous and truly worthy of praise. And the reputation of such virtuous person will spread far and wide. He said, whether they are monks or nuns, or whether they are priests, or whether they are lay people, they are all alike if they are in possession of these kind of virtues. And wherever they live, people will praise them. You see? And so a person with virtues, with good virtues, their fragrance will spread with the wind or even against the wind. And the Buddha also said, what is the best fragrance? It's not the flower. It's not from the flower, or it's not from the pine tree, or it's not from the cedar tree. It is from here. Verse 55, he said, of all the fragrances, sandalwood, Tagara wood, a blue lotus, or jasmine, the fragrance of the virtue is the sweetest. So if you want to be the sweetest person on earth, you need to develop those virtues of morality. And those virtues are really not easy to develop. It needs a lot of self-discipline, self-awareness, and self-examination, and self-reflection. And also humility. Because if one is not humble, one can never be able to see one's shortcomings. It's very difficult. So that hidden arrogance, I tell you, is a very, very tricky trap. I say hidden. Is sometimes you don't even know that you are arrogant. Because, I mean, if I like to show off, and I know that I'm showing off, then I know that I'm arrogant. That is way much easier to deal with. If you could actually encounter the teachings and really down to earth to practice it, then it's easy to deal with. But the hidden arrogance is the dormant arrogance is actually very difficult to catch. Unless you have a very sharp mind and a very humble mind. Otherwise, it's very difficult. And even though people may tell you, may advise you, you don't think that you are that person. You don't agree with people's advice and suggestions. So of all the fragrances, sandalwood, the fragrance of virtue is the sweetest. So, and he said also in 56 is faint is a fragrance of Tagara and sandalwood, but excellent is a fragrance of the virtues, wafting even amongst the gods. That means it's even transcend above the gods' fragrance. Gods, that means heavenly existence, heavenly beings. It's not the God in the Christianity sense. Okay, the gods means heavenly existence, and as some of you may already know that in the Buddhist teachings there are 33 heavens. 33 heavens. So there are very, very high heavens and there are lower heavens. So it's very different concept about the God. Okay, so maybe it's best to replace the word gods with heavenly existence. I think that would be maybe a little bit more appropriate, less misleading. Okay, so we all know this, the fragrance of virtues, and this is a wonderful story about Mahakassapa, also a wonderful student of the Buddha. So Mahakassapa, he rose from his deep meditation, and that day he thought of going to a very poor village for alms, like asking for food. So in the old days, now even in Theravadan countries, Burma, Sri Lanka, and Thailand, monks and novices also go out for alms to ask for food. In the old days, they always go out for food. And so that day, Mahakassapa thought, I will go to a poor village to ask for alms. So I give an opportunity for the poor to get merits. Okay, so he got up from his deep meditation. He left, ready to go for alms. So, and the Sakka king, the heavenly king, they had supernatural power. They knew Mahakassapa was going to go to a poor village. So he actually disguised himself as a poor man, and his wife disguised herself as a poor woman. And so they were waiting for Mahakassapa to come for alms. So when Mahakassapa got to their door and then stood there, has his alms bowl there, and Sakka King came out, wow, feeling so happy that, among here, I'm ready to give alms. So he got the bowl, he took it in, and put rice and put food and everything in there, and offered to Mahakassapa. Mahakassapa, after receiving the bowl, of course they always give blessings to the one who gives. And Mahakassapa, of course, smelled the food and said, this is not a food prepared by human beings. This is a food prepared by heavenly beings. And Mahakassapa said, you are not human beings. Of course Mahakassapa knew who they are. And the Sakka king and his wife admitted to Mahakassapa, I came from the heavenly world to come down to offer, because I wanted to have merits, because I'm always up there. I never get an opportunity to offer alms to monks and nuns. So today, I disguise myself to become a poor guy to get offering to you so that I can get some merits. And Mahakassapa didn't say anything. Then the Sakka king and his wife left. And so the Buddha from his monastery knew, in deep meditation, knew that the Sakka king and Sujata, the wife, left after offering the food to Mahakassapa. And the bhikkhus, the monks, together with the Buddha, wondered how Sakka knew that Mahakassapa had just come out of his deep meditation and was going to such a poor village. How could the Sakka king and his wife knew? And the Buddha told them, faint is the fragrance of Tagara and sandal, but excellent is the fragrance of the virtues. Because Mahakassapa is a virtue person. It's a person full of virtues. And his fragrance spread everywhere. And that's why the Sakka king came. See? So, nuns, if you want, if you would like, more good heavenly beings coming to offer you, make sure you develop those virtues. Okay? I mean nuns, including myself, not just you. Okay? So, the second tier of practice is mental discipline or mental cultivation. And this comes to 3 parts: skillful concentration, skillful mindfulness, and skillful effort. And this is the part of the Eightfold Noble Path. And there are 3 parts. And this is the second part, the mental discipline. So, tonight we are going to talk about this. So, skillful, it says samadhi, but concentration actually encompasses 3 aspects: skillful concentration, skillful mindfulness, and skillful effort. But actually, skillful effort and skillful mindfulness actually are important in the whole Eightfold Noble Path. In the whole Eightfold Noble Path. Okay? So tonight we are looking at skillful mindfulness. Samma sati. Samma means skillful or correct or right kind of. And sati means mindfulness. So in here, and actually, why do I use a picture of swans? Or these are Canadian, these are snow geese. Oh, these are swans. Good. Thank you. How do you make a difference between these swans and the snow geese?
Snow geese are very small.
Oh, really?
Black, thick wings.
Oh, I never know that. Really? Swans are prettier. So those ones at the Sham Lake are those swans? Oh, wow. Canada has so many swans then. I thought they are all snow geese. So I was wrong. I kept telling people, I took some of the visitors there. I said, these are snow geese. So please bear with me of my mistake. They are swans. They are prettier. And swans are big, right? Snow geese are smaller. And they get black wing tips. Oh, really? Okay, I'll keep an eye open. I keep my eye open next time. But what are those who keeps bee, those trumpeter swans? Trumpeters.
2 kinds, trumpeter and whistling.
Oh.
Most are trumpeters.
And are they swans or geese?
They're both swans.
Oh, they are swans. Gosh, so complicated. Okay, thank you for the clarification. So they are trumpeter swans, not trumpeter geese. Oh, okay. They always, okay. The swans are here. Okay, all right. Okay. Beautiful verse, 91. And it says here, 91. It says here, the mindful strive diligently in the tranquility and insight development practice. They take no delight in the home, that is, in the life of sensual pleasures. Like swans that forsake the muddy pool, they abandon all home life. That means all cravings. Okay? So the swans, they don't like muddy pool? They like clean water? Is that right? Is that why they are always at Shamlik? Ah, no wonder why they are never close to shore. No, never close to the bank. They are always in the middle of Shamlik. Every time I go there, they're always in the middle. Once in a while you see a few closer, but they never are close to the bank, because the bank is all like swamps, right? Muddy water. And and it's just such a beautiful metaphor, isn't it? And the swans look pretty from afar. They're white and pretty from afar, but even with close zoom in lens, they look really pretty. They are very pretty, really, and clean because of the white color. And so this also talking about Mahakassapa. Mahakassapa. He was residing with Buddha during the summer retreat, and after almost towards the end of the summer retreat, the Buddha said, "We are getting ready to leave this place, to leave this monastery and go somewhere else." So, and the Buddha said, "You will have to get ready." Okay, so the monks get ready, washing the robe, and some stitching up the broken robe, and Mahakassapa was washing also his robes. And when he was washing his robes, some of the monks said, "Hey, I don't know whether Mahakassapa will leave this place to go with us, because this is the place where he get all the good support and all the good alms and all the good offerings. I wonder whether he will follow the Buddha to Rajagala." And so they were doubtful, and they were gossiping and all that. So when the time comes that they are leaving, and the Buddha said to Mahakassapa, "You stay behind." Mahakassapa said, "Sadhu, sadhu, yes, teacher, I will stay behind." And then the people, the monk started, "You see, I told you, we know that Mahakassapa will not go with the Buddha, because here he get all this good support, he get all these good alms, he got all these good offerings. And just as we have predicted, he will not go." You see, people, hey, even monks and nuns. So the Buddha heard this remark and said to them, "Bhikkhus, do you wish to say that my son, Mahakassapa," that is not his son, it's Dharma's son. Okay, "my son, Mahakassapa, is attached to all these offerings? He's attached to all these support? He's attached to all these disciples in Rajagala and not willing to leave? You are all wrong. You are all wrong. That is a big mistake on your part, because my son, Mahakassapa, stays here under my instructions. He is not attached to anything. He is just abiding by the instructions of his teacher, because he is a virtuous person. And he doesn't attach to anything, doesn't attach to all the sensual pleasures, where supports, offerings are sensual pleasures, right? Offering of food, offering of robes, and offering of daily necessities, right? And he doesn't delight in home life. He doesn't delight in any craving. because he has abandoned all home life. So he said, you're wrong. You are wrong. You're mistaken, Mahakassapa. So, and he said, how can we release from the bonds of Mara? And the Buddha said, there is one way to release, and that is verse 21. Mindfulness is the way to deathless. Don't mind about deathless. Don't mind about Nibbana. That we are too far away from Nibbana. But mindfulness is the way to happiness. Mindfulness is the way to liberation from our suffering right now. Okay? So the unmindfulness is the way to death. And we are still living, but unmindfulness is the way to unhappiness. Can you put that, can you see it in there? Can you replace those words in there? So we don't have to be so high sound. Nibbana, wow, Nibbana. A lot of the students always think, when I can attain Nibbana. We were teaching in the prison, and every week they bring up Nibbana. I said, Nibbana is in your head. It's just a word in your head. It's too far away. Come on, be realistic. Come back here. Be happy. Here, happiness. Here. Next moment, happiness. That is Nibbana already. In another aspect, right? So Nibbana is liberation from all sufferings, liberation from all defilements, afflictions, non-attachment, non-self. That is Nibbana. So those who are mindful do not die, but those who are not mindful are already dead. Isn't it true? I always say to my students, because I teach walking meditation during a longer meditation retreat, and some of my students are walking like zombie. And I say, you're walking without mindfulness, you're just like a zombie. But if you're walking with mindfulness, it's very obvious. You can see it from their walk. And if you're walking, wandering here and there, you're just like a walking zombie. It's very different when you have mindfulness and when you don't have mindfulness. And I've seen a lot of students who have set so many courses, short courses, long courses, extra long courses, and they slam doors, they slam the mugs on the table, and they eat like, and they crank the cutleries on the plate. Come on. And then I say, wow, long courses, students, long courses, meditators. Where is the mindfulness? Yeah, you only have mindfulness when you're sitting in the hall. Oh, mindful, yes, okay. Mindful, yeah, equanimous, equanimity, yeah. But once you open the eyes, all gone, mindfulness gone, equanimity is gone. No more. Slam the door and walking with your slipper. Right? Where is the mindfulness? No mindfulness at all. So, those who are mindful do not die. Do not die doesn't mean the body do not die. The bodies do die. The bodies do degrade. But the consciousness is different. The mindfulness is the state of the consciousness, the state of the mind. Okay? So, and the Buddha said, it is better to live one day virtuous and meditative than to live 100 years immoral and uncontrolled. You see, virtuous versus immoral. Meditative versus uncontrolled. And you can see, he says it's better to live one day being virtuous and meditative than living 100-year-old and having none of this. Walking zombie. Don't become a walking zombie. And don't say that, oh, I'm old already. I'm deaf and I'm old. I can't walk properly. I can sit properly. I can sleep properly. But you can still meditate properly. And you can still be aware properly. You can still be mindful properly. No excuse. Old age is not an excuse not to practice properly, not to develop that mindfulness. No excuse, I tell you. Even a glimpse of mindfulness is more helpful than being not mindful. Okay? So, samkhya is a samanera. Samanera, that means a householder, a man. And he has already attained a very high state of achievement, achieved a very high state of attainment. So one day, he took a meditative object together with the bhikkhus, and to go into the forest. And at that time, when they were going into the forest, there was a gangster of 500 robbers were staying in the same jungle, the forest, and they wanted to make a sacrifice. And in the old days, they sacrifice livestock, right? And that time they want to sacrifice a human being. So, and they wanted the blood and flesh to sacrifice to the god, to the guardian spirits of the forest. So they came to the village monastery, and they looked for somebody. And this Shramanera, he offered samkhya. He said, "Take me, please take me, because I'm just a householder. These are all bhikkhus. Please take me." And samkhya actually was not going to go with the group of monks, but his teacher, Sariputra, asked him to go with the monks. You go with the monks. And we never say no to our teacher. That is our tradition. And so samkhya said, okay, because my teacher asked me to, so I will go with the monks. So he went, and when these robbers asked for flesh and blood, offering of a human being, he said, "Take me, please take me." So they prepared the offering table. Everything was ready, and the leader came, and then samkhya with the mind fixed in very deep concentration, deep jhana. And this leader, while seated, took out his sword and wanted to kill samkhya. The blade get crooked. And then they thought, well, something wrong with the blade, right? So they straightened out the blade, and then went again, crooked. But this leader, of course, he's a leader of 500 robbers. He's some person. He's not just an ordinary thief. He said, this must be a saint. This must be somebody very, very special. And he immediately dropped to his knees and paid respect. "Please, sir, please forgive me for my ignorance, for killing you to offer. I'm sorry, and I am very sorry." And samkhya said, "You are pardoned. And my teacher, Sariputra, sent me here." Why would Sariputra send him? Because he had deep, deep jhana. It's not that he's invincible, but at that time, he had that supernatural power to actually subdue these ferocious robbers, right? Ferocious robbers, subdue, because his jhana power, his power from this deep jhana, able to subdue these robbers and, attract them to the Dhamma, to the proper practice. Okay, so, and then verse 111 it says, better it is to live one day wise and meditative than to live 100 years foolish and uncontrolled. You see, wise versus foolish, and meditative versus uncontrolled. So you can see, in order to really fully live our life, we need to develop wisdom. And where does wisdom come from? Actually develop mindfulness. Mindfulness is very, very important to develop this mindfulness. Gosh. All right. Okay, go back to here. Are you still looking at 111? Okay. So mindfulness. I tell you, power of mindfulness. One day, this Kondana, monk Kondana, he took a subject of meditation from the Buddha. Buddha taught him a subject of meditation. Buddha has this power, has this strength to see who is capable to practice what. So he always give you this and give you this and give you this. So he gave Kondana one meditative subject and then sent him off. So he went into a forest to practice meditation, and there he attained arahantship, like very high state of achievement. So when he was coming back, after he achieved that state, he came back. He was coming back to pay respect and gratitude to the Buddha. But on his way, he was very tired. So he sat down. He sat down on a big stone slab, and then his mind just went into that deep, deep meditative power state we call jhana. And very, very concentrated. And then at that moment, there were a whole gang of robbers. They robbed a lot of things, but they were chased by the villagers. So they came to this place where this Kondana was sitting on a slab, meditating in deep meditation, and they saw this big tree trunk, like the tree trunk that we had out there. We cut down the tree with a tree trunk, big tree trunk. So they hide everything. They put everything around that tree trunk, and they hide it. And so, and then they hide themselves and they left. And then when the sun rose again, they came and they wanted to take back all those things that they had looted. And they look, what? This is not a tree trunk. It was a real person sitting there. But last night we saw a tree trunk. What happened? Wow, good thing that he didn't steal all our things, the things that they looted. And then Kondana looked at them, and they said, this must be a ghost or a boogie. why did we see a tree-tongued? But now he was like this. He must be a boogie. You know what is a boogie, right? Like a ghost, a ogre, like evil, like. And then they were so scared. And then Gondana said, "You know what? I am not a boogie. I am a monk. I am a monk who is capable of deep meditation." And then he actually Kondana he taught the Dharma to these robbers and converted them from robbers to become monks. And that's why he got a name called Tree Stump Kondana. Tree Stump Kondana. So, when the mind is so clean and so stable and so steady and so strong, the body could present in a very different form. Okay? Are we supposed to finish at 8:15? Oh, 8:30. Oh, let me go on. I thought 8:15. Okay, then, verse 300. It says, "Those disciples of Gautama ever awaken happily, whose minds are day and night delight in the practice of non-harming." Non-harming, that means virtues, right? Discipline. But day and night practice in non-harming. And here is actually it's a story about this woodcutter's son. The woodcutter went into the woods with his son to cut some firewood. On return in the evening, they stopped nearby a cemetery to have their meal, but that they took off the yoke attaching to the oxes, and then they had meals. But these oxes were, no yoke around, no leash around them. Then they took off, and then they found out that they went off, so they went to look for the oxes and left the son there. The son was a baby son. Not really baby, but young. And then in the night, they were still not back. In the night, there were a couple of ogres, boogies. They really came into the woods to look for food, and they saw this little boy, young boy, lying there, sleeping there, and they wanted to pull his leg and eat his leg. And this boy, because somebody was pulling his leg, and he said, "Namo Buddhassa." Namo Buddhassa, that means I pay homage to the Buddha. And this ogre pull again. And this little boy say, "Namo Buddhassa, I pay homage to the Buddha." And hearing those words, these ogres got so frightened and felt, wow, this boy is very different. We need to look after him. Otherwise, other ogres come, they may hurt him. So they talk among themselves that, I think he is hungry. I think you should go and get some food for him, and I'll guard him here. So one ogre stayed put next to the little boy and protect him. The other ogre went to the palace. Went to the palace and took the king's food, which was prepared the night before. So he was not the night before. That night was the king's breakfast. That ogre took the food, but he left something that saying, tell the servants that I have taken the food. And he went and fed the boy with the food. The boy took the food and felt very satisfied, went to sleep. Sweet and sound. Slept and slept. And the next morning in the palace, the servant said, where's the food for the king? Disappeared. And they found this, they must have left some message, some kind of message. And the ogre took the food. So they reported to the king. The king said, you go and find these ogres. So the servants went, and they found 2 ogres with the boy. And the boy was there, and then the ogres knew that somebody was coming. They disappeared. And then the parents came back to get the boy, and they all took the boy and the parents to the king. Then the king, by that time, heard the boy already had this unique quality of knowing how to pay respect to the Buddha. And he cried out this Namo Buddhassa when the ogre pulled his leg. But the boy told a very different story to the Buddha. No, to the king. He said, no, actually, it wasn't the ogres. My parents fed me. My parents fed me the food. That's why I had the food and I fell asleep. It was my parents. It wasn't the ogres. So the boy didn't think it was the ogres. He think it was the parents who fed him. So it's really the practice of non-harming at that time, because the boy was able to remember the qualities of the Buddha, because he actually at that time he chanted Namo Buddhassa. If he doesn't remember the qualities of the Buddha, how can he remember to take refuge, to pay homage to the Buddha, right? So at that time I always say the frequency. You tune into the frequency. You tune into CBC, you can listen to CBC. You tune into Chilliwack, whatever, then you listen to Chilliwack, whatever, right? So at that time he tuned in to that frequency, to the Buddha's frequency. So he wasn't harmed by the ogres. So, and he said, those disciples of Gautama ever awaken happily, whose minds are day and night delight in the practice of meditation. So if we day and night feeling happy that we submerge ourselves in the practice of meditation, we will be able to have this controlled over his hands, his feet, his tongue, who is fully controlled. That means our physical behavior, our verbal behavior, and delights in this inward development, and is absorbed in meditation, keeps to himself and is contented. Him do people call a monk. Okay? Even though, ignore the last sentence, even though householder could reach that stage, is you develop this inward development and absorbed in meditation and behave physically and behave verbally. And inward development and absorbed in meditation, that means a mental cultivation. So both physical and mental are well behaved. So that's why the Buddha advised monks and nuns. He said, monks, do not be heedless. Let not your mind whirl on sensual pleasures. Heedless, do not swallow a red-hot iron ball, lest you cry when burning, oh, this is painful. Sona, Bhikkhu Sona, came from a very well-off family. And when he attained his enlightenment, his achievement, and his villagers, the village that he came from, invited him to come back and give Dhamma talk. And his mother knew that my son Sona is coming back to give Dhamma talk. I need to go and attend the discourse. Such a wonderful, wonderful way to listen to Dhamma expounded by my son. So she went, but when she was listening to discourse, her home was raided by robbers. And her maid came to tell her, Master, we have robbers. And the mother said, forget it, you go home. Go home, don't disturb me. I'm listening to Dhamma talk. Go home, you let them take. And the maid said, okay. So the maid went home and saw the robbers opening up all the drawers, opening up all the cupboards, and took all the silverwares. So she was nervous. So she went back to the venue and said, Master, the robbers starting to loot all the silverwares. And the mother said, you go home. Don't disturb listening to my Dhamma talk. Dhamma talk is more important than those things. Go. Don't come back. But the maid won't listen. She went back and she saw these robbers starting to take all the jewelries, the gold, the diamond, everything. And the maid said, no, soon this house will be empty. My master come home with nothing. So she went and ran and went to the venue and said, Master, the house will soon be empty. They are taking all the jewelries. The mother said, you go home and you let them take. I am here listening to the Dhamma talk. This is more important. You go home. The maid went home. But you know what? Who is sitting next to the mother? It's the leader of the robbers. And he heard once, twice, 3 times. This mother said to the maid, you go home. Listening to the Dhamma talk is more important than those things. You go home. And he thought, wow, this is such a virtuous person. This is such a wonderful lady. How can I rob such a virtuous person? I can, and I should not. I should not rob her, because he was going to kill her if she get up and go to her house. But she never got up. Instead, she told the maid to go home. And so he felt ashamed, and he then took all his robbers' followers, returned all the loot, all the things that they have looted, and went to pay respect to the Sona, the Bhikkhu Sona, and also to the wife, and say, please forgive us to have robbed your house, and you have such good virtues, and please, we are wrong. Please forgive us. Please pardon us. And please accept us into the Sangha, into the order. And if we are mindful, we would not swallow a hot iron ball. If we are mindful, we would not constantly chase after sensual pleasures. That is the hot iron ball. Okay? So this is talking about mindfulness. And so with concentration, that means a very focused mind developed from mindfulness. And in Dhammapada it says, there is no meditative concentration for him who lacks insight. That means if you do not have this understanding, this insight about yourself, and no insight for those who lack meditative concentration. That means if you do not have mindfulness, you don't get concentration. If you don't get concentration, you don't get insight. One who doesn't have all this, one will not have insight. So if you need insight, you need to develop concentration. If you need concentration, you need to develop mindfulness. It's just so simple. Okay? So we need to develop this in order to be virtuous too. Okay? So he said, the monk who has retired to a solitary abode and calmed his mind, that means mindful and concentrated. Who comprehends the Dharma with insight, that means wisdom. In him there arises a delight that transcends all human delights. That means that delight is concentration, that delight is insight, that delight is compassion, that delight is wisdom. Sharp, right on, 8:30. So let us dedicate our merits. May these blessings extend to all, that we with all the other living beings together will attain the Buddha way. Let us wish more and more people will encounter the wise words of the Buddha, study them, understand them, practice them, and implement them into their daily life, and help themselves to liberate from all the difficulties, sufferings, unhappiness, and be truly and ultimately free and happy and peaceful.